Okay, let me see here. Key dungeons. All right. Let me look at this, and we'll see what's going on with this whole Diablo 4 situation. Okay, and I'll take a look at it. All right, here we go. Silver bar. Thank you, bangers. I appreciate that, man. If anybody else has any silver bars, let me know. Thank you, man. Okay. I've learned over the years of experience that the player community is an incredibly valuable resource to draw upon whenever designing and refining a game. By working together, we can achieve great things. The biggest challenge with parsing community feedback is that with so many opinions, the takeaways are rarely unanimous. Diablo 4 is very much in active development, though we plan to keep you in the loop as we continue to design and iterate so you can be part of what we're building. I'm so incredibly appreciative for the feedback that we've received so far, and I'm eager to dive into some of the most talked about topics. Okay. We're still working through all the feedback that came in regarding itemization, and we're actively discussing ways to add more depth and complexity to base items, including rares. Ways to add greater variety to item affixes to make those powers interesting and your thoughts meaningful. Your choices meaningful. And ways to give players more freedom to choose how to customize their items so you can have more fun exploring a wide range of effective gameplay possibilities instead of just looking up the optimal build online. Okay, so this already makes me a little bit nervous. Who did this? David. Alright, listen up, David. There's always going to be a best build. That's it. There's always going to be a best build. There's going to be, like, there's never been a game that hasn't had, like, the best of whatever it is that people take competitively. That's just what people do. I mean, you don't like that, too fucking bad. That's just the way that it's going to be. And I'm not a big fan of, you know, like, oh, well, the best or whatever like that. Of course, that's not ideal, but it's also not going to change. PoE? Well, I mean, like, how about Winter Orb? Like, Winter Orb was pretty fucking good, wasn't it? I mean, obviously, like, there are some things that are not, you know, far and away unanimously the best without anything that's even remotely close to it. Yeah, sure. But overall, I mean, PoE has had that many times as well. Like, yeah, I mean, come on. Every game has that. I think PoE is not a good example. And even with PoE, you're going to have, like, just because the game is very expansive and there are, like, multiple builds that are really good, that still doesn't mean that, like, instead of having one guild that's just the best guild in the world, or sorry, not guild, why am I saying that? Build, that's the best build in the world, you have 5. And you can choose between those 5 different builds. And that's pretty much what I think is going to happen. So, I don't know, man. Let me read the rest of this. Okay, so we'll go more into depth regarding itemization in a separate post soon, but we don't want to leave you hanging until then. So we're going to update with a few other topics now. That's good. These are some of the topics that we're seeing come up most often, but if we're missing something, please let us know, and we'll try to share our thoughts on those subjects as well in the future. Okay, let's see here. Elective mode in Diablo. Also, power increases don't need to be linear throughout the ranks. It can slow down as players reach higher levels. We believe Infinite doesn't make sense if they're making leagues like PoE or seasons like in D2. Yeah, I mean, and also that's a really good point. So, but the thing is that I spent hours and hours and hours is in the first 40 hours of in-game gameplay, or even first like 50 or 100 hours of in-game gameplay, the game's not going to last. It's just not. Is being displayed on the key, players will be able to strategize their approach before going into the dungeon. Oh, actually, no, that's more like a Mythic Plus Keystone. Never mind. We believe this is the biggest change from Diablo 3 Rifts. The added planning and strategizing that takes place before you decide to run. What you'd have to do in Diablo 3 is you'd want to go and do... So what were the good tile sets for Rifts? I remember the Act 4, like the open area where it was like the Act 4 like open area because it had like the highest mob density. And let's see what else is beyond that. I'm trying to think of what the other ones are too. The prison. Oh yeah, cemetery. Yeah, cemetery was also really good too. And Festering Woods. Yeah, Festering Woods was also good. And anyway, so you'd have these different maps that you would hope to get whenever you were doing Diablo 3 Rifts. And if you were pushing for Rifts, what you'd end up having to do is you would zone in and you'd see, okay, this is the wrong tile set. And you'd go all the way through the first tile set and into the second level of the map. and then you'd see, okay, well, maybe I can still recover this or not. And basically, a lot of the Greater Rift progression, it wasn't really RNG, because I don't want to say it was RNG, because that implies that the people that were achieving it weren't really earning it. But at the same time, a lot of it did have to do with getting lucky and like getting the right rifts at the right time. That's basically it. Fishing is a good thing for sure. Yeah, less fishing is a good thing for sure. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And so, like, yeah, having to fish for good rifts is kind of boring, I would say. How do we know if Titan Forge will exist in Diablo 4? That's a big concern. Well, because they're getting rid of Titan Forging in WoW. I mean, there is going to be... See, here's the thing. Is Titan Forging, in a lot of ways, is okay in Diablo 4. It's completely fine, because you're taking chances so regularly on getting the new pieces of gear. Why is... So there are two reasons why Titan Forging is bad in WoW, basically. Number one reason is because you have to rely on other players to voluntarily play with you. Because of that, players that get good in Titan Forges are privileged and given an advantage in a group environment, in a social environment. They're given them they're basically given a social advantage. On top of that, and how much is Arcane Crystal on your server? I have no idea. On top of that, you have the other issue of only being able to take the chance at that piece of gear every week or something like that. So if you don't get it on that week, you're basically fucked. And I think those are the two big differences between the gear ideas. You know what I mean? WoW Classic is just Titan Forge version of vanilla. Never stop going big dick, Asmon. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. So give WoW players more Titan Forging? No. Lady Vera, thank you very much for the 10 gifted subs. I appreciate that, man. Thank you.